Greetings. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being you. I'm grateful to bring this presentation through me. I'm so grateful for us all being present here now. You are so dearly appreciated. We're going to be talking about the transit of Venus through the sign of Libra. And Venus, well, Venus is at home in its sign of Libra. So this is like the homecoming queen, Venus into its home territory. And my name's Philip. Hey, I'm an astrologer, and we learn so much about Venus within the sign of Libra. It's actually about the depth of our perception, 'tis Libra. It is the seventh sign, so it's the first sign of the second half of the zodiac, the zoo of archetypes. A zodiac is a 360-degree wheel, and it creates our entire reality. And so it's our will, and it's the plot of our script. And so we have the ability to make the most of the frequencies that are available to us. And yet, what we do see with regards to Libra, as I mentioned, it's about our depth of perception. Obviously, we know it as the scales. And so it's how we weigh up our perception. Do we feel heavy when we're perceiving of something? Do we actually put a lot of eggs into the basket of that which is laying across from us, 180 degrees across from the first sign, Aries? The self is the opposition to self, and that's what we lend our eye to. And whatever we lend our eye to, whatever we're gazing across at, actually teaches us so much about how we are honoring ourselves. And so we can see sometimes we actually put more conjurance, more importance on things that are across from us. Sometimes it's just as simple as the telly. Sometimes it's our children. Oh, it could be our work. It could be our lovers. Obviously, it can even be our mothers. It can be all kinds of different things that we put importance into, that we buy into. And so what we're learning about with regards to Libra is always about how we are weighing our heart up in our perception. And this is what we see synonymous with the scales or the judgment, even the court, because the court is the scales. It's how things pan out, pan meaning the whole land. And so we're learning about the whole landscape through our depth of perception with regards to Libra. And Venus coming home means that actually it's a whole new cycle. We can consider actually the transit that Venus is currently within is in its own 12th house of Libra. Obviously for Taurus, its other home domicile sign, is actually the 5th house, tis Virgo. So Virgo currently acting as the 12th with regards to the relationship of this broadcast, which is all about Venus returning back to Libra this Sunday or there or thereabouts, depending where you are, on the 16th of August in our Gregorian calendar. For 3 weeks, Venus shall be home there until September the 10th. And what we're going to be doing in this broadcast is walking through each of the aspects as well as synthesizing this energy. Oh, it's not just what it looks like on the surface level. You know, some kind of rapscallion in a baseball hat with it all turned backwards. Well, it's Leo season. But actually, this is about astrology. And so we're going into the depths of how we can make the best out of valuing ourselves and recognizing that each one of us are equal in the infinite love which we have within us. We have infinite love within each one of us, and it's about having a creative eye, a conscious eye, a spirit that knows that within this experience we're here to build ourselves up and build ourselves down. And it is actually that the 7th of the signs is all about the alleviation. It's all about recognizing that we can take things away and add things on. It's the autumn, right? And so it's the beginning of autumn. It's cardinal air. It's the first of the planets which will be going into Libra. In fact, every single one of them will. We're going to see that Mercury follows suit and will go retrograde in Libra in a few weeks' time. And then also we'll have Mars and the Sun join it eventually. But we're quite ahead of ourselves, considering we're still in a Leo lunar cycle. And so what is this Leo lunar cycle about? To give us a better established witness point for that which we are feeling into. Because Libra, as mentioned, is beyond the surface level. It ain't just about what you see in a superficial experience of the physical realm. Because when we're talking about Libra o'clock, we're talking about sunset. oh, this is some medicine for us. It is the sunset that we talk about when we're looking at Libra, because it isn't just the scales when we look at the glyph of Libra. Oh, no. It's also, if we just perceive the sun on the horizon. Yes. So when we're talking about the first house, we're talking about where the east is. We're talking about where the sun rises. And so when we go 12 hours into that day after the sun rises, for instance, 6 in the morning, Aries o'clock, then what we're looking at is the sun on the horizon where we lay our eyes. It's the Horus line, it's the horizon. That's where the sun sets. And so when we're looking at the sunset, we think, oh, it's beautiful. But really, we're often thinking about all of the different things within the real of our reality. That might be thinking about our lover, might be thinking about my dinner, might be thinking about that astrology video I might do. I don't like to think about them too much. I just like to show up and do them. But you might be thinking about something that is concerning you, and it might be giving you a lot of relief. It like really allows us to go into the quantum. It allows us to go beyond the physical when we're looking at something so beautiful as that sun disappearing from our local environment. We're like, wow, goodness gracious me, what can I do with tomorrow? Mañana. What have I done with my day so far? What have I done with my life? Man, it's an omen what we lay our eyes on for our own interior reflection. And so what we can learn so much about is how we are valuing ourselves with regards to our depth of perception. And also, it is a reflection what we're pontificating at, what we're ruminating at when we're considering other people. You know, if we're considering somebody else lesser than, what does it say about how we're speaking to ourselves? Because it's our projections, seventh house, which really represent how we are recognizing ourselves, how we're receiving ourselves internally. We make each thing outside of us a pet projection of our own unforeseen tales. And yet we're here to heal our tales through our relationships with all the different things. And so I see that this Libra energy isn't so much about the relatability and the intermingling, that being a Scorpio thing, that being an eighth house thing. This is about how we learn about so much of our own expectations, our own anima and animus, our own healing journey through that which we project onto others and through that which we feel that we can respond to due to other people's projections, which is our medicine also. So this is really interesting because this isn't just about our relationships with, of course, one another and ourselves. This is also our relationship with food, with our profits, with our business, with our governments. I mean, we might have laid our eyes on a government or maybe even a technology once upon a time and thought, well, that's really lovely, isn't it? But then we could look at them in a different light and think, goodness gracious, they've proven themselves not to be so viable. Maybe I don't want to buy into them anymore. There's actually beyond the surface level of advertisements that we see, because there's so much more that we can perceive due to surface level. And so what we're gaining the opportunity to do is to see that a book is more than just its cover. That's Libra for us. And actually what we want is something quantifiable, something which is proven to last, something which is sustainable. Cardinal air. We're looking at a new idea. And we're going to have Venus making, firstly, a grand air trine through the first half of its transit, with Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, as well as Rahu, the North Node, in Gemini, which will mean that actually there's sextiles to Ketu, the South Node, as well in Sagittarius. So we're going to be changing belief systems due to the depth of our perceptions. And so then we're going to move on and we're going to have the opposition to Chiron, just like we have right now, the moon in Libra. The moon's currently in Libra, opposing Chiron retrograde at 12 degrees of Aries. So Venus will go on to do that. And so we can find this 180-degree, which is very Libra, opposition, brings tension. It brings an opportunity to see things from another angle. Maybe it wasn't actually that we could see it from our own vantage point, but due to our capability to put ourselves in another's shoes, we can have greater compassion for ourselves, for others, even if there is different belief systems, even if there's been different separations with regards to the consciousness. It could be just an age, it could be a class, maybe it's a gender, or even our gender. It could be actually that it's a more modernized separation boundary, which is actually the wool been pulled right over our eyes as a collective, which we're considering as something that pulls us apart. But actually, the more that we're pulled apart, we can find, the more divisions that these devices put between us, we can find that this brings us into greater compassion, more consciousness, greater capacity to love ourselves and one another beyond the separation, beyond the different conclusions or decisions. But this thing is, we've got a lot of different things that are going to be coming out these next few months with regards to the truth. We're going into the occult season. You know, autumn is always the grand revealing, especially when we're going into the Scorpio energies, which we shall do in 3 months' time. And so what is on the surface level may not always what it's summed up to be initially from first glance, but we learn. Venus is actually going to go on to go retrograde this winter in Capricorn. And so we can use our where we've been and our trajectory of knowing where we're moving and know that Venus is going to go on to make the challenging square to Pluto and a trine to Jupiter. So where we put our faith could be in something innovative, in something brand new. Within you, you can put your faith. And actually, the more that we have faith into ourselves, the more that we disengage from subservient systems that maybe ain't for us. We disengage from old traditions that are proven to be not necessarily allowing us to bloom into our own sovereignty. So this is the great opportunity for us to have faith into something which maybe not have had a proven track record, because it's so brand new, it's so pioneering, it's so revolutionary. It's me and you, baby. So thank you for buying into yourself. Thank you for coming into the opportunity to buy into your gifts and talents, and knowing that you can create and sustain yourself with your joys, with your creations. Your talents is your worth. And so when we're looking at Venus, we're looking at our talents, we're looking at our relationships with ourselves and one another. We're looking at our gifts, we're looking at buying into our inner contentment, which is really our treasures and can allow us to sustain ourselves, because together we are more able to self-organize than we would trying to do if we're all solo. We can all lift each other up. You know, tell a friend about a fantastic astrologer, or tell a friend about the lovely fruit and vegetables down the farmer's market. There's all kinds of different things that we can tell each other. You're like, hey, there's a great person you can go get a haircut from, don't you know? So these are the different things which we learn about through our times. I'm grateful for you. I'm going to be going through all of the aspects on the for the transit on the screen now. Thank you for your presence, Anti-Drama, Stephen, Everyone's Universe, and L Diamond 888, Empress Gaia, and Jonad Kurana. Excuse me if I butchered your names. I'm grateful for you. And A to Z, Omar R, everybody in the live chat, you are deeply and sincerely appreciated. If you're watching this in a recording, I'm equally grateful for you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for commenting below and sharing your experience. Maybe you are a natal Venus in Libra. I'm certainly not. I am a Libra ascendant and Libra moon though, so I'm quite familiar, as well as a K2 South node in Libra. I'm quite familiar with the Libra energy myself. Could say too familiar. And so what we have the opportunity to do is to learn about this, to earn our self-respect through our farthest extended boundary, which is anything that we lend our pupil to, which will school us truly. So I see you, Liana and Imari. Thank you for your presence. You're a Libra sun, are you, Imari? Wow, very cool. And so here we go. It is actually, as I said, the moon is currently in Libra. We're going to work through this transit. I'll pull it up on the screen. Oh, I must say, if you want a personal consultation, you can arrange one with me. All the information that you need is in the description box below. We can arrange for a consultation where I'll share your chart on the screen, just like we're about to do. And we'll go through each of the aspects, each of planets in each of the houses, and we'll feel into the energies which you're living through, as well as applying all the current transits for you to make the most of. Those consultations are recorded, so you can play them back and play them back and play them back and pause it and take notes. It's a great investment within yourself, and I'm here to serve you. I appreciate you, Carolina. Thank you each for your presence. So here we see on the screen the current transit, and Venus is actually still in Virgo at 25 degrees. It will be another 3 days just over before we see Venus make ingress into its home sign. And so remembering, although we all have obviously Libra fall into a different part of our sky, collectively, for the archetype of Venus, it's going through like a sieve. You can consider that the 12th house of Libra, Virgo, is like a sieve. It's like seeing all the details, and yet it's so expansive. It's an oxymoronic kind of opportunity for the clear out. It's the 12th house is the house of endings. So when Venus makes ingress into Libra, it should be brand new. It should be a little bit more liberated than when it went into Virgo, of anything that was holding it back from what it's truly here to do, which is to have a clear perception on self. And so right now it's just coming off the back of a trine to Pluto retrograde in Capricorn, which was what was going on yesterday. And so in a sense we can see that it's a bit of a preview with this transit of the moon waxing through Libra currently for what we will experience on the extended transits. And we can even suggest that the aspects that I'm about to narrate and run through are the first lick of paint to a story which each of these planets are going to make. Firstly, Venus, then Mercury, which will retrograde, making 3 passes over the middle of Libra, as well as the Sun and Mars also making that same transit. So it's very interesting. And so here we go. We will see that there's one more aspect for Venus to make through its transit of Virgo, and that will be a quincunx to Jupiter, which it does kind of on Saturday, that kind of thing. And so it's 150-degree angle, integrating all these types of things about our belief systems, about our collective, about our community, all these types of things. It's very, very interesting. And so it will be that Venus makes ingress into Libra when the moon is on its own south node. And that is on the 16th of August. And as I say, it will be there for about 3 weeks until September the 10th. It is actually a few days before we get our first aspect, but we'll narrate it as we go. And the moon will continue to go through Sagittarius, making a trine to the sun on the 17th. And so here we go. But we recognize that upon the ingress, there is these loose trines to Rahu in Gemini and Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. So this is recognizing about new information, new perceptions, new ways to talk to ourselves. Mercury traveling with Mars at this stage. Lots of pressure, lots of invigoration, lots of vigor. And also, this is around the 18th to the 19th to the 20th, depending where you are. We have Uranus station retrograde. So it's like, wow, this is going to really shatter the paradigm, change and flip the script in so many different ways. And so this is what we can recognize. And Saturn is about stabilization, but it's in Aquarius and retrograde. And so it's changes which are happening with regards to the regulation of traditions and the new normalization of things that weren't necessarily meant to be traditional as far as we were aware. And so yet there's innovation, and sometimes the more that you innovate, the more that you actually find that the future opens doors to the past, and there isn't anything that's new under the sun. And so we're going to see this very interestingly. Venus continuing to move closer and closer to its aspect towards Rahu, 16 degrees, which means it's also sextile to Cato, is 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And so as the moon moves over the last full moon spot, which was 1 degree of Aquarius, and applies to this grand air trine between Venus, Rahu, this is insatiable for all kinds of new perceptions and informations, and Saturn, it's like, which is actually meant to be exalted in Libra. Saturn sets the scene and really just keep a certain paradigm on a thought or perception or belief, which is why it actually exalts in Libra, and which is where the sun sets, as I mentioned earlier. It used to be called Set, did Saturn, back in the day in Egyptian pantheon. Regardless, we see that then we've got this grand airy trine going on as we progress into the waxing of what will be the full moon. We'll talk about that in greater detail in the days to come. And so the moon goes full next to Jupiter, and it will then be that by the 22nd, finally, we get our first aspect from Venus. Venus, 7 degrees of Libra, will make a trine to Rahu exactly at 7 degrees of Gemini, as well as sextile Ketu it's at 6 degrees. They're right there flipping around. And so there you go. It's like letting go of old belief systems. When you see Ketu, it's like an embodiment without a head, and Rahu is just a head. So it's moving in a direction. And it's a direction of new information. It's like, hey, I've just come into believing, for instance, that my money was safe in the bank, or that I was getting healthy produce from the supermarkets. But in fact, I've noticed that it's much healthier to get my produce from my local friend Tom down the road. He knows a great place to get healthy food. It's changed my belief. That's new information. And so we change our beliefs. And this is really useful for our depth of perception. Like, I'm not going to go wasting my money buying food which doesn't serve me, or putting my money in the bank. It's much safer in a different investment. It might be investing in, for instance, learning another language. Maybe you're investing in land so you can grow your own food. Maybe you're investing in astrology courses from Astrolada or something like this, or an astrology reading so you can learn more about your chart with me. These are different investments which even don't take up any mass. It's a wisdom. So that's very K2 in Sagittarius, Venus sextile. That means that it's about taking something on which doesn't carry weight but holds a lot of wisdom. There can be wisdom from ejecting from systems that don't serve us anymore. It could be the education system, World Health Organization. Oh, we know who they are. And so this is very interesting for us. Okay, yeah, it is tropical. It says it on the screen. Thank you for your observations, Smarty Pantses in the chat. I appreciate you. Leslie, or Issy, is it? And Mystery Schooler, Kathy, all of you are dearly appreciated. And so we keep on with this transit. It will be the day after, come the 23rd or thereabouts. Obviously, it depends where you are. We will have Venus at 8 degrees of Libra, making the trine to Saturn. So, as I said, this is the extended, grand, airy trine that starts really just before the full moon, when just after the Uranus retrograde. And so this is very interesting. And it's going to continue. It's like a destabilization of structures or coming into a firm belief system. Saturn sextile K2 just as much as Venus does. I said Saturn makes sextile to K2 just as much as Venus does. So this means that we've got the kite and we're destabilizing belief systems about nationalities, about old experiences that are proven to last their course, and we're coming into new information, this and that. There's no concrete. It's pioneering. It's like treading on eggshells a little. And so this is very interesting. This is the day that the sun makes ingress into Virgo as well. And so that Virgo is about health, it's about rituals, it's about routines, it's about finding there's a new way to live our lives, still within a Leo lunar cycle, which is now waning. And yet there's kind of there's no clarity about the Pisces moon making opposition to the sun and to Mars and to Mercury in its home sign, just reappeared today. And so there's so much which we're learning about, right? And yet Venus will move on. And so the next aspect which we have will take place on the 26th, and yet we will have the moon opposing Venus on the 25th, 180 degrees away from where it is now. And so Venus will oppose Chiron on the 26th, with the moon still in Aries, moon making a 90-degree angle to Pluto. This is knowing that we're breaking free from structures or old traditions or old boundaries. We are asserting, like Mars energy is saying, hey, I'm this Aryan energy, I'm doing things for me, I'm asserting a boundary, and I'm pulling away from things that might have felt corrupt or that it wasn't protecting me. And so this can be very healing, and you might be feeling like a bit of a maverick in these times. Again, Mercury making the trine to Pluto. It's actually Mercury by this point will be in the same position as it is as I record this video as Venus is right now. So it's very much an omen when we notice these types of things. The moon will go into Venus's other sign, a Taurus, making its conjunction with Uranus on the 27th, where it's exalted. And so this is interesting because Uranus has just gone retrograde. However, by the 14th, we actually find that with the moon just next to Uranus, it's actually then that we have this quincunx from Venus. A quincunx is a very Venetian aspect. If you get 5 quincunxes, you get a pentagram. That's a Venus aspect, the same energy as Venus, is a 150-degree angle, if you will. And so you can see that it's otherworldly. You can't quite see it. It's like a talent. It's like a gift. It's quintessential, man. And so that's Venus for you. It's an omen. And so when we have this angle of Venus at 14 degrees of Libra and making a quincunx to the retrograde Uranus in Venus's other sign of Taurus, which is when the moon is right there as well, it can be very magical. It's about a perception. It's about feeling good. And it could be feeling good when you've broken free of something. You feel good about yourself. Your value goes up. We can only imagine here. But actually, the moon will go on to make a trine to Pluto after that conjunction with Uranus, as it does every time it swings around. Okay, and so we have on the actually that's the last aspect of Venus in August. As we move into September, Venus is going into the latter part of Libra, and the moon in its own home sign waning quite rapidly at this point. We find that actually the next aspect is on September the 3rd. Venus will be at 22 degrees eventually, and it shall make a quincunx again, this time to Neptune retrograde. And so this is again kind of a perception. It's like a feeling. It's about really saying where we're letting go maybe of old ideas, old conceptions, old illusions. Again, we could be buying into new ones. But you see that Mercury has joined Venus. Mercury making that same grand air trine an adaptation, another layer to that story. It's all about perception. It's air. It's about our ideas. Is it safe? Am I feeling safe in this house? Do I feel like I've got the right support? Is this relationship safe to the government? Is this relationship with my lover or to my own body and my health routines supporting me? We are learning about things which are beyond the surface level of lights and illusions, and we're going into vibration and frequency, because that's pure truth. It actually is beyond the illusions we're really learning about with our perception here. It's very, very powerful. And so we can find that actually the next aspect will be on September the 5th, with Venus moving on to make a square to Pluto. And so this is a cardinal square to cardinal energy. We're again seeing the opportunity to open up. I really want to buy into a government. I love a government. Govern my mind. Tell me what to do. Lock me down for the autumn. That's obnoxious. But we're just going on prior evidences here, aren't we? We're going on experiences. And so we find that with Mercury sextile the south node, as well as trine Rahu in its own north node, while Venus in that same sign of Libra will be squaring Pluto. It's an opportunity to either go in more deeply to a situation or to break free from a scenario. You could suggest that it's a bit of both. And so this is a very powerful opportunity for us. And we see that again, that moon is opposing Jupiter. It's all about our belief systems. It's all about weighing things up. Your feelings can often guide you much easier, more easily than the information which we're going up researching. All this information, that's so overwhelming. To think is so overwhelming. That keeps us caught in the shackles of the fortress of the mind. So really, when we get to feel, which is really what happens when we're looking at the sunset, we get to summarize so much what's best for us. It takes guts to feel, and it gets right off our chest when we allow ourselves to go into making our decisions on what we are feeling is most best for us, what's feeling is correct for us. And so this is honoring ourselves, really. And we see on the 6th that Venus will be still in its home sign, making a trine to Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. And then we have a new moon this time in Virgo. So we can recognize that there's a lot of new belief systems, a lot of new ideas going into this next lunar cycle. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a lot more detail. especially as the details are all about Virgo. But this is a very interesting lunar cycle with the new moon trining Uranus retrograde in Taurus, Venus making a trine to Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius, as well as there being a grand air trine in the sky with Mercury, Rahu, and Saturn. Venus is obviously still squaring Pluto. What a humdinger, eh? Mars opposing Neptune, Mars trining Pluto. That is an interesting lunar cycle. But Venus is making its last aspect as it makes this trine to Neptune, Jupiter retrograde. And so this is a very interesting part of our process. And we're going to be going more deeply at this point when we can consider that Venus is going to go into Scorpio. But it won't do that until the 10th of September. And so we'll move into this lunar cycle. The moon will join Mercury and Venus in Libra, and the moon will actually beat Venus into Scorpio. And then you can interestingly say that actually that lunar cycle is a bit of an omen, because the crescent moon will appear in Libra, and then both the moon and Venus will be seen in the night sky. The crescent, Venus and moon together in Scorpio just after dusk. And it's about our depth of perception. It's really about who we're entangling with at this point, who we're collaborating with. I mean, who is our tribe? Have we managed to self-organize? Have we set ourselves up for the autumn? Are we really organizing ourselves for winter? This is very interesting for us. Remember, Pluto actually rules Scorpio, and the last aspects from Venus and the moon, as before they make ingress into Scorpio, will be to Pluto and to Jupiter. How do we believe about the structures of the world? How do we believe about our boundaries for our personal relationships with self and with others? It could be just eating that cream cake. That's a personal boundary which we can choose to do sometimes as an act of self-love. If we do it over and over again, then we learn that's going to change how we feel and perceive of ourselves. But it's not just about cream cakes or just keeping it light, keeping it easy, keeping it breezy. But some of those things are much heavier. And so we can recognize the heaviness, and we can put down that heaviness. We will alleviate ourselves of heaviness, which we drag on in when we decide to buy into ourselves rather than buying into something which isn't for us, whether that's a relationship with another lover or a government system which isn't loving at all. And so this is very powerful for us. Okay. And I'm really grateful for each one of you, because you show up and you support. You show up and you support yourselves, and you're great in the chat, supporting each other. Thank you for supporting me, giving this video a thumbs up, telling a friend, sharing it with anybody who you feel is interested in this kind of content. I mean, let's be honest, astrology is a great tool and it is empowering for everybody. I'm here to empower you. If you would like a personal consultation, you can reach out via the usual means in the description box below, and we can arrange a mutually beneficial time to connect, go through all of the aspects in your chart, your natal chart, which actually can be so healing. It's actually very therapeutic, as well as very practical. It goes many different ways, does astrology. We can practically elect charts for moving house, for starting a business, for bringing out a new project, or we can even look back at some of our childhood, some of our adolescence, some of our earlier adulthood experiences. With revised eyes, the template of astrology can be incredibly healing for us all, because our mature eyes can lend so much more love and compassion for experiences that we've learned and grown through. It allows us to take a step back, really come into ourselves and see from the perspective of our higher self, or maybe our most inner, most loving core. And core, blimey, that's a very valuable perspective to take on board, especially when we're looking at ourselves in past instances where maybe we didn't have as much love or grace to be able to give ourselves that love and grace which we truly do deserve. And so all I can do is give you my expertise as your astrological guide. So the information is in the description box below. I'm here to serve you. I actually read out this feedback from a client the other day, and it's such lovely feedback that I'm going to read it one more time before I go on to read the horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. And they just wanted to thank me for the fantastic session we had, diving deep into their chart. They found it profoundly helpful, as well as thoroughly enjoyable. And know that the recognition that I passed on to them in the conversation will be kept as a nourishing force, aiding them forward. So nice, such a compliment. Your perspective on astrological energies, your passion, your fantastic humour, and sensitivity are so valuable and massively appreciated. Thank you for your kindness, knowledge, and patience in helping me understand myself more deeply. I thoroughly recommend a deep dive with Philip's marvellous mind, and I shall also be back in course, of course, for another session myself. Well, there you go. Thank you, Philip. It was a real pleasure. All the best. That is really lovely feedback, and obviously I'm here to hold that space for you guys. It's what I do. It's my love, my joy, my passion. All the information that you need to invest is in the description box below. It's very warm here. It's almost Libra o'clock because the sun is setting over there in the west. That's where stars go to bleed out to set the scene. Even stars go to die, you could say, because they dye the sky another colour. It goes all black, darkness, pure. And so it's beautiful what we experience down west. They even put the cinemas down there. That's where all the stars congregate. You know, you always find that the cinemas in the west end part of town. And so that which we can find about the silver screen or the fantasia of lights and illusion, excitement, the West teaches us all, because really that's what sets into the scene. And that's powerful. That's Libra stuff. That's Libra medicine. As I say, the glyph of Libra is the sun on the horizon, and it tells us so much. And so Venus, well, it's quintessential. It's about the consciousness of Christ consciousness. You can even consider that it's non-physical. It's a high voltage vibration of love. It represents the 5-pointed star, which is Moorish. It's on the Moorish flag. It's about more love, more love, more love, infinite love. If we can perceive it, then we can manifest it. It's about owning it for ourselves, which makes us more magnetic. And this is really what we learn about within this university, Mother Earth Rocks. It teaches us all about these different things that we haven't seen for ourselves through the eyes of each other. And so it teaches us all about the tale of our tape. It's a real serious tale sometimes, but really it gently teaches us to love ourselves more and more. And so here we go. Oh, Denise, thank you so much. I appreciate your lovely feedback. That is lovely. Thank you so much. Denise said that she thoroughly looked forward to a future reading because it was brilliant and delightful when we connected last time. Thank you so much, Denise. That was lovely for you to say so. And Annie also agreeing. I can't read all of your messages in the chat because they're flying by, but I'm appreciative of you. If you're watching and recording, you know I appreciate you also. We're going to start with Libra now. And just so you know how I'm doing this, this would be valuable for the astrology students amongst you. Just so you know how this works, if you're new to this, is we start here at Libra, right? And I'm going to be reading 2 cards minimum for each of the signs. The one card that pops out and whatever's bottom of the pack. And so when I read the first card, we're talking about where Libra falls. But when we read the second card, we're talking about where Taurus falls, because Venus also rules Taurus. Okay, and we're going to start with Libra and work our way through. So just for example, if that's confusing, for Aries, when we get there, which is in 7 signs time, we'll be talking about Taurus and Libra for Venus transit in the 7th house of Aries, but it also affects the 2nd house. Okay, right, it's so warm over there because that sun is beating in, but we're just going to persist. And I'm grateful for you. Thank you for your moments. The first thing is, Libra, everything that I've said so far applies to you, Libra, and especially because you're going through so many 12th house transits right now. Although we are within a 11th house lunar cycle, it will be exchanged towards the very end of this Venus and Libra transit into a Virgo lunar cycle. And so you know that actually by the time that we get into that Virgo lunar cycle, you're going to have Mars, and Mercury would have gone through the 12th house. Mars is already there. The sun would have joined Mars. And so what we're doing is seeing that this is like a cerebral scrub for any ascending sign. When you've got planets going through your 12th, it's an opportunity to let go, to dismantle things that was on the surface level, that was keep running into us. It can also be karmic earnings. It could be like, wow, you've had this kind of income tax coming through, or you were promised this thing, and there you go, it's there due to your hard work. You deserve it. But you could also have things taken away because you don't deserve it. It's like the judgment room, the 12th house. It's the house of endings. It's also karmic belief systems. It's the opportunity to see ourselves through a very karmic eye, through the self. It's the opportunity to clear the lens of our perception. I often liken the 12th house to when Neo sees how the different scenes play out, and the opportunity to choose to act with more love for ourselves and each other is always on the cards, as well as finding that we can get rid of any of the residue or blemishes on our filters of perception. 12th house stuff. So it's very healing, especially with Virgo energy there. And so Venus just finishing up there, as well as loads of other planets patrolling through there, gives you the opportunity to see if you are honoring yourself in your connections to other people in your community, as well as to your spirit, as well as to your body, as well as to your lovers, family, to all the people that you're collaborating with. Obviously, you're relating to everything within you and outside of you, Libra. And so this is a great opportunity to replace all of the attention that you may have put onto things external which weren't for you back to you, to return yourself to your graces, and also to recognize those relationships that do honor you and be grateful. Be grateful for the fact that they see you, that they recognize you, that you are recognized. This is very powerful. And obviously, with regards to those things that we're choosing to buy into, whether it's a food, whether it's another relationship with some other person, that counts a lot. Count yourself as equal, especially when you're choosing things like what are good for your health and what's best for you with regards to where you're living and your home life and how you honor yourself in your own personal boundaries. And so this can be a very active time. Of course, as I say, you're ruled by Venus, and Venus is the front runner of all of the personal planets. And yet this is a very powerful time of changing how you lead yourself, how you orientate yourself. It's the first house for you, Libra. And so this is about being within your own integrity and speaking your truth. 3 Wands and the Knight of Wands, speaking your truth, enunciating your value, and being within that bandwidth of communicating really your perspective. Interesting, so it is. It's about being very active and leading with the message which you would most like to display within your experience, because that's who you are. That's how you identify. Knight of Wands and the 3 of Wands for Libra, transit of Venus, your ruling planet in your first house. As I say, it does rule Taurus, which is your 8th house. So again, this can bring up lots from the occult, which is the unseen, through our connections with other people. But it could be unexpected connections, which are very valuable for you to progress with within your community and society, in your creative projects. Uranus in Taurus, retrograde in your 8th house, which actually Uranus rules your 5th house, which is where the full moon will be as well. So again, it's about completion of projects, and it's also about coming into the opportunity to connect with other people who you resonate with, as well as cut free from those that you don't. So Scorpio, well, interesting for you guys, it's actually a transit of Venus through your 12th house, right? And so that's very powerful for you. As I said, the 12th house transits are about letting go of old perceptions. It's about letting go of things that don't serve you anymore. And bear with me while I just write these things down for a moment here. Thank you very much. And then I'll give you my full attention once more. Okay. So Scorpio, it's really allowing yourself to recognize that actually both your Venus ruled house is about your perception. Taurus, 180 degrees across the way for you, as well as Libra, which is your 12th house. And so Scorpio, you're nocturnal. You can see beyond the surface level anyway. You don't base things on looks. You base things on the feeling of them, how they make you feel. And so you've got like a really good belief system detector. You can tell if something's for you, if someone's thinking about something which ain't for you. And so this is a great opportunity for you to work your magic from underneath, from undercover. You know, you're an occult specialist. And so there you go. Transit Venus through your 12th house, karmic endings about things with regards to your perception. Maybe you made an assumption about something, or maybe you were truthfully guided by your intuition. And so this is a really great opportunity to recognize that. Sometimes it is these assumptions which makes an ass, you and I, because it reveals the tale of our old stories which we project onto each other. And so this is a great opportunity. 8 swords for you to transmute old perceptions which weren't benefiting your reflections. And so this can be very powerful metamorphosis for you. And it's about having an opportunity to come into different belief systems. 8 swords, 9 wands. So you can find this is a very powerful transit from August 16th to September the 10th of Venus through your 12th house. And then it makes ingress into Scorpio. It's a whole new life when you get those ingresses, and Venus will be the first into your first house. Very nice indeed. As I say, 8 swords and 9 wands for Scorpio, transit of Venus through the 12th house. I appreciate you in the live chat, SJD and Laura Angels. This next one's for Sagittarius. Well, as I said, for Scorpio, your ruling planet is Mars, and it is in Virgo, which is your 11th house, and that's for most of this transit. So again, there's a lot of focus on your community, and that's what you're going to be perceiving on. Whereas the Sagittarius, Jupiter's your ruling planet. It's just retrogressed back into Aquarius, which is your 3rd house. And this transit of Venus is your 11th house. They will make a trine at some point. This is a lot about communication, about your connections to different people in your spheres of influence. Of course, this is about your genius and your perceptions. And it's about the perception of your belief systems due to the surface level, and they're not always summed up, are they, to be what we think or perceive them to be. So we're learning and we're earning respect for different layers of our perception. Maybe some of it's being chiseled away at or let go of, and some of it's being adapted and added onto. So this is very interesting. Wow, I just went like this and the card came straight away. It is the same one. You know, it's an omen. There's no denying it. I could have shuffled for 10 minutes, but it just wanted to come back. And so it's 8 of the swords for Sagittarius. And, well, you might say I didn't shuffle. I did. It's the same cards, exactly the same for Libra as it is for what we had for Scorpio. And so, again, it's about changing the belief systems and the 8 swords. And so, very powerful for you, Sagittarius. It's your 11th house. It's your perception of how you feel perceived in your community affairs. You feel how you're perceived by coming out with your outrageous genius. But again, remembering that it's about your rituals and routines. It's about the things that you spend your pastime habits doing there, Sagittarius, because Taurus is also your 6th house. So it's about the innovation of your rituals and routines and how you feel perceived. That if someone said, oh, we spending too much time down the coffee shop. Well, that's their opinion. So it's about you choosing to do what you want to do and not giving too many hoots. Just doing what you're guided to do for which is best for you there, Sagittarius. You'll make the right connections, and they'll be right for you. I appreciate you, Delilah, in the live chat. And there ain't such thing as coincidences. They're all significant omens. Just a sign, a mirror reflecting back from the divine. I appreciate you. Thank you. And Angela Powell, you're tremendous. Thank you each for your presence. You are deeply appreciated. And Tevin777. Appreciate you, Annie. Fantastic. I love you each. And so next we got Capricorn. Wow, Capricorn. This is a transit of Venus through your 10th house. Yes, 10th house is for Capricorn up there. And it's just very interesting. So Capricorn really set things into the scene when you can consider that the 10th house is very similar to that Saturn energy which exalts in Libra. Regardless, there, Venus transit through the top of the sky. It can be a very busy time for you, Capricorn. People might be very open to receiving your product. You can be very open to changing your perception, or even you could suggest the Capricornian structures of the world, their perception could be changed through the time that Venus is transit through the 10th house. Many different transits are going to be going through the 10th house of the Capricornian world structures, governmental structures. Who? World Health Organization and things like that. But also for Capricorn individuals themselves, you know, we can recognize that we're able to change our status quo, our opinion, the people, how other people perceive of us. And so this is very interesting. Integrity is key, obviously. You can be seen with transits through the 10th house. They're very visible. And so Venus going through the 10th house for Capricorn actually rules the 10th as well as the 5th. Taurus is the 5th house. So your creativity, Capricorn, is coming through and being seen. What you're cultivating from your heart is being recognized right now. And this is very interesting. We've got 2 cards pop out as well as whatever's bottom of the pack. And so this is really about what you're communicating, what you're perceiving. Are you within your own integrity? Are other people that you're doing business with in the world within their integrity? Interesting. So it is, Capricorn. But we also got the 2 of Cups. Your emotions can obviously be a great guide, as always, Capricorn. Emotions, like Capricorn seems stoic as, you know, you think it ruled by Saturn, and it is. But if you recognize it's in a polarity with Cancer, it's like it's got this sensitive underbelly, us Capricorns. I'm a Capricorn sun. Hi. And so we've got this sensitive underbelly, which is actually a gift. Capricorn's got a fishy tail. Woo. And so basically, it's our tale is an emotional one. Our story, unrecognized, is an emotional story. So you can recognize your ability to feel as a guide and system for who you are going to be doing business with. Are these businessmen for you? Or can you actually just do the devil card thing and disengage yourself and like, I'm not doing of that. Thank you very much. I was always free. I'm the author of my script. Capricorn. You got the 2 of Cups, the Knight of Swords, and I said it's your 5th house, Taurus, the 5 of Pentacles. You can create your way out of anything. You can create your way out of a bad representation. You know, people will buy into you due to what you create because that supports you and others as well. So if you feel supported by a governmental structure, a Capricornian structure, it's due to their creativity and how they make you feel due to the packaging. But it's not always what it's summed up on the surface level, because we can always repackage ourselves again and again, because it's a recreational experience, 'tis this life. So be discerning what you're buying into. That goes for everybody, whether you're a Capricorn or otherwise. 2 Cups, Knight of Swords, and the 5 of Pentacles. For Venus, transit your 10th house for Capricorn. Very nice. Multi-Hippitea. I appreciate you there in Vancouver, Canada. Thank you for your presence. Next, we got Aquarius. Oh, yes, Aquarius. Next full moon is going to be there, and your ruling planet. Uranus goes retrograde on the 18th in 6 days' time. I just want to mention for Capricorn, though, Saturn is retrograde in your 2nd house. It's your ruling planet. It's about honoring your values. It's about recognizing that your values being redetermined due to the perspective of how other people see you and perceive you within your community affairs. And so it's important what other people see. And it's the surface level and how you package yourself and how you create yourself, which matters. And so you can say the similar thing for Aquarius, which your ruling planet is Saturn once more. In your 1st house this time, it's about your identification of the different types of community which you're intermingling with. However, you can also see that your roots are there sometimes to be cut free from or to be re-established within another community. Uranus is your current modern-day ruling planet, and it is in Taurus, which is your 4th house, going retrograde within this Venus transit. And this Venus transit is taking place in the 9th house for Aquarius, which is about belief systems, about international travel, or the lack of that, maybe, for some. It could be about going up above and beyond within a community on an international level and how you feel perceived on this online or in your local vicinity as well. So it's very interesting. You might be studying something, you might be changing your belief system due to some hard work that you've been deploying or due to how other people receive you there, Aquarius. But as I say, Venus also rules your 4th house. So it's about how you feel nurtured. How are you nurturing your value? How are you honoring yourself? And how are you tapping into your skill sets due to where you choose to be? Are you able to do the things that you love every single day? Well, this is very interesting. This is about rapid change in the belief systems which you've identified with, rapid change in the international structures of the world, maybe, and how you support yourself. Aquarius, This is very interesting. Rapid change in the collective, identification of many things. 8 wands. This is people that you're collaborating with. Everybody's going to be changing. Not only do you have 8 wands, we got 8 pentacles too. Massive metamorphosis and change with regards to your belief systems and how you are securing yourself and nurturing yourself in your home space. Oh my gosh, Aquarius, Venus transit through your 9th house from August 16th until the 10th of September. Interesting. Very nice. Maybe it's you buying into you, and this is about you finding that your self-worth goes through the roof. Okay, and so Pisces. This is an interesting transit because Jupiter, your ruling planet, just retrogressed back into your 12th house. Again, summarizing, letting go of old belief systems. It's nothing more than a saga by this point, Pisces. And so this is a great opportunity to see that this is an 8th house transit. Venus going through your 8th house in Libra from August 16th through to September the 10th. And so this is a very powerful opportunity for you. Also, Venus ruling your 3rd house of communication, Taurus is that. And so it's about how you communicate within your personal relationships, within your private relationships. How do you perceive of people that you're connecting with on a deep level? And this is very interesting, Pisces, obviously. And so here you go. With Jupiter going back into your 12th house and also ruling the South Node transit at the top of your sky, you can see that there's many very valuable shifts in your belief system due to the type of people which you're collaborating with and how you perceive of them as well. You're perceiving of other people's belief systems changing. It seems to be like the theme for the rest of the year is simply how we're changing our belief system, South Node Sagittarius, but it's a perception, which is really the key. It's a frequency. And so we see beyond the surface level and we can really come in to recognize people and how they are honoring themselves and how we can honor ourselves as well. King of Wands as well. So it's about asserting while staying within your creative hearts there. Pisces is about reining in and being strong with who you are, not bending for other people, but being within your own self. That's key. That is key. Being within your own self for the King of Wands and the 9 of Pentacles for your transit of Venus in your 8th house in Libra for Pisces. Okay. Nadia 44 and Sierra J, you're appreciated. Thank you for being you. Next, we got Aries. Well, Aries, this is a transit of Venus through your opposing sign of Libra. And it is actually that Venus rules your 2nd house of self-worth, Taurus, and obviously the 7th house, which is about your perception. It's about how you feel perceived by other people and how also you witness others, how we project onto others as well, which tells us so much about ourselves. And so your ruling planet Mars is going through Virgo, and it's your 6th house of day-to-day rituals and routines. You can change your belief systems, you can change where you put yourself, you can change what you're looking at, and to put yourself into situations where you don't feel undermined. Maybe you do, maybe it's more about you. And so it's about really honoring yourself, so you, to the degree that you don't care about what other people think, which is really Aries. You're just doing it for you because that's what matters, that's what's creating traction, that's what's making you feel honored, that's what's making you feel valuable, and that's what it's all about, really. And so, woo, there's a load of cards come out for you, Aries. Interesting story, I suppose. We've got 4 cards come out for you, and we're going to go with this first, which is the 7 of Pentacles. Again, it's about the value of your perception. Venus transit through your 7th house, and yet it's an activation of who you are, self, and how you communicate about this self. And so it's about also your 2nd house where Taurus falls. So we've got the 7 of Pentacles, the Page of Wands, the 2 of Swords, and which allows you to really perceive of yourself as talented, as gifted, as worthy, and activating the communication of that due to the value of your perception. You're able to gain stability in who you are, which is what you're all about, Aries. 4 Wands, 2 Swords, Page of Wands, and 7 Pentacles. So that's very interesting. It's a nice bit of stability you can gain due to the activity of your communication and knowing your own value. But bottom of the pack, well, it's all leveled out. Isn't that the scales? Yeah, it's justice. Justice is fair, just as light as a feather. Keep your heart as light as a feather. You are worthy. Aries, this is the transit of Venus through your 7th house in Libra. Very nice indeed. Enjoy your moments, mystery scholar. And Veronica Vero, I'm grateful for you. Thank you. You're an Aries with a Cancer rising. Stephen, the Jupiterian, says, yes, it is Friday the 13th on the Gregorian calendar, which is Venus's day tomorrow. Interesting. So it shall be. Okay. So now we got Taurus. Well, Taurus, you're ruled by Venus. Venus is making its transit through your 6th house, and yet it's your chart ruler. So it's actually been that Venus has been, and currently, as I speak now, Venus in Virgo for the next couple of days is your 5th house. How have you been creating a media, maybe a skill, a tapestry? You've been going into your heart and just meditating, doing things that you love to do. Taurus, now Venus is actually making ingress into your 6th house. You can really go into the perception that you're gaining so much traction due to the dedication and devotion of your labors of love. You're able to identify with yourself in a different light. Maybe it's going to do the yoga every day. Maybe it's going to the gym. Maybe it's the fact that you've been painting or studying astrology every single day. I don't know what you're doing there, Taurus, but it's actually paying off. You can perceive of your product, your productivity, your health, just who you are in a brand new light now. Very nice indeed. I love it. Taurus, it's a good time for you guys, right? Woo! Yes. It's a completion phase, you could suggest, because we got the 10 of Wands. Maybe you're completing projects and you can conceive of yourself in a different light. Wow, Taurus, we got the World card. We do know that Uranus is about to go retrograde in your 1st house, and the World card is the fixed signs. We got the Bull, we got the Lion. So we're talking about Venus-ruled sign of Taurus. We're within a Leo lunar cycle. And we also got the Falcon, which is Scorpio, and Aquarius, where the full moon is. And so very much the World card is about change. Whatever wasn't stable, you can restabilize by making these changes, these completions. Very nice indeed. Venus transit through your 6th house. We also got the 9 of Swords. And so what we look at is these different belief systems. You might have thought, well, I never thought I'd finish that thing. Your belief systems can change. It might have kept you up all night thinking you couldn't. Well, you just did it. And so maybe you thought you'd never get that job offer. You would never get the opportunity to be with that lover. Maybe you'd never find that you could work and earn a living doing what you love. But you've done it. So the belief system, 9 swords, has shifted. With Venus through your 6th house, you can change your belief systems to find that you can do things where you thought that you couldn't. And that's because you're the alter. You're the native. When you recognize that you can go against what you believed, you become the alternative belief system from what was and shift your potential into what can be. What? You charge yourself up. And it's free because you're infinite love, Taurus. We got the World card, the 10 of Wands, and the 9 of Swords, putting an end to old belief systems due to your due diligence paying off. I think that's pretty good for you guys. Victoria, grateful for you. You're not a Knights Templar. I like your comment. You don't fear Friday the 13th. No, do I. 13th's magical number. Actually, it breaks down to 4. There's only those original 10 digits, 0 to 9. But yeah, 13 is also 13 lunar cycles within a year. So it's a lovely magical number. I see you, Laura Birkin. Thank you for your presence. Wonderful being. I appreciate you. Next, we got Gemini. Well, Gemini, you're ruled by Mercury. And Mercury just made ingress into Virgo yesterday. And it reappeared in the evening sky. Oh, that's an omen. That means that we're gaining a lot more clarity. You can see both Mercury just after dusk and Venus as well, a little bit higher in the sky right now. Ooh, beautiful, so it shall be. And so for Gemini, this means you might feel recognized a little bit more. I spoke to a Gemini earlier. They said that they had one of their, they had something published. They had written an article and it was published the day that Mercury reappeared. There you go. Oh man, it's an omen. And so really this can be very powerful for you, seeing and perceiving of yourself in a different light due to your creativity. Venus transit through your 5th house of creativity from August the 16th all the way through until the 10th of September. Not only that, it means that you can be really letting go of old things. It can be about completion. Taurus is your 12th house. Venus rules Taurus. You could be going into some kind of meditational state through your creative endeavors. Maybe you're going into the opportunity to do something which is devotional due to your talents and skills. That's a creative love for you. And so this can be very powerful. You're ruling planet Mercury, spending the next couple of weeks in Virgo. Your 4th house can be that you're nurturing yourself through your media, through your health, through your practices, and this is a creative projects. Mercury will join Venus in your 5th house as well. So this is very intriguing for you guys. Oh, it's very intriguing for you guys. And so it's very perfect for you, Gemini. We got the 7 swords. This is the 7th sign, Libra. It's your perspective on your creativity. We got the Queen of Wands. That's just doing your thing, keeping your eyes on the prize, loving yourself, and just doing that thing that you love. That thing that you love is what you're here to do there, Gemini, and nurture yourself through and through the eye of the needle. Because you got the Queen of Wands, the 7 of Swords, and the Empress Venus herself. Wow! Major arcana. And so this is about you identifying with your heart's creativity and really recognize yourself as worthy of doing no less than what you love to do. What? Yes, do what you love to do there, Gemini. Nurture yourself and recognize that this is your identity shifting. And if you shift your perspective of who you are, other people will see you in a different light too. Anybody who does what they love continuously until they can make a living of it are admired by me. And I think everybody can admire that also. And so do what you can love. This is a Leo lunar cycle, which says how can you structure and support yourself through your creative, heartfelt endeavors, through your heart's vision? Well, you can. And so perceive if you can. You can change your belief systems and recognize the worthiness for you for this transit of Venus through your 5th house. 7 swords, Queen of Wands, the Empress, and 7 wands. Activate and actualize your heart's desire. Why? Because you've got the opportunity to do exactly that, Gemini. Yes, we have been through each of the 12 signs. We only have 3 more to do, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. But I appreciate each of you. You're so dearly recognized. Thank you for recognizing yourself. So next, Cancer. Well, you're ruled by the moon. Moon's going round in this lunar cycle, which kick-started in your 2nd house. And so this is a very big aspect of this, Cancer, which is about your creativity at this stage and the value of your creativity. Venus goes into your 4th house. And so it's about nurturing yourself and your perspective within your home space, your own interior. It's about getting things off your chest and perceiving of yourself as valued within your community, feeling at home within your networks and spheres of influence. Taurus is your 11th house, which Venus also rules. And so you can recognize that mi casa su casa, your home is my home. You're feeling at home in your local environments, in your spheres of influence where you share things in common with other people. And this is really what you're looking to continue to manifest and work with. I love that for you, Cancer. It's a different story, isn't it? It's nice. And so this is an opportunity for you to recognize that people really do value you. But there's so many different belief systems that are changing. This can be very fortunate for you. You can find that you're broadening your ability to feel recognized and valued within your home space as you honor yourself. And again, it's a lot about belief systems. We got also the 9 of Cups. It's about the emotional belief systems, Cancer, of the family line and all the people that we consider family, and how sometimes even if there's different divisions within the belief systems, there are ways to share love, there are ways to bridge fortune and connection, and this dissolves. This is the solution. The lucidity dissolves. This is our solution. Cancer, the Wheel of Fortune and the 9 of Cups says that as we feel, we're able to let go of old belief systems that would hinder our experience in connecting to self and to others. You are able to recognize yourself and nurture yourself as well as others without the limits that we perceive can be in our way. Wow. Cancer, Wheel of Fortune, and Nine of Wands. Oh, I love it. Very nice. Oh, what a conscious message. Oh, it's not so easy. We can find that we're challenged, but we can. The ability is ours. We are able to love beyond limitations. Leo. Well, Leo, we're within a Leo lunar cycle. It's still the Leo season. Happy solar return to you, Leo folks. If you've had it already, or if you're having it in the next couple of days, I'm grateful for you beaming in and beaming out with love. This is a transit of Venus going through your third house of chitter chatter, you charming little beings, you big grandiose stars. I'm grateful for you. This is all about the bridges of our connection. It's about the perception of those people that you're communicating with. Leo, this is the transit of Venus through your third house. And also, it's about the perception of how you are recognized out in the big wide world. Venus rules your 10th house of the workplace, the marketplace, how you see the world and how you feel seen in the world. And so this is a great opportunity to recognize that you are valued, and you're valuing yourself by only having those bridges of connection with people which are honoring you. If you feel depleted, if you feel that there's not a fair trade, if you feel that devaluated, this is a great opportunity to have good boundaries, to set yourself up, bound for glory with regards to the established bridges of connection which you share with others and your perception of them. Maybe you are being honored there, Leo, but you just didn't feel it and perceive it because there were some kind of shadows which were cast. And actually, those people, they loved you. And so there's a great opportunity to really feel beyond the lights and illusions what it is that we are being perceived as, and how even we can get in our own way due to our other projections about our perceptions. Oh, Leo. The sun will make ingress into Virgo, your second house, through the coming days as well. Again, judgment. Well, judgment says more about ourselves, says more about our unrecognized stories, says more about our tale. Yeah, our true story is that which we're always judging. And that is what's going on with regards to that Libra energy. And so we can feel it with our connections with other people, and they can feel it too. It's called clairaudience. And so you see through people's words because you feel the vibration which goes with them. But you've got the infinite ability to be productive in the world regardless. And so this is about your value. And even if there's emotional situations that can be going on within you or within other people, you're able to be consistent, persistent, and triumphant with these connections which you establish within yourself. Not only do we have 2 pentacles, we also got 2 swords and the judgment card for Leo. With your transit of Venus through your third house, listen and feel into your value due to the exchange of those people that you're trading with. How can you show it with love regardless? How can you continue to love inside and outside infinitely? That's your capability, because you are worthy of no less. Judgment card, 2 pentacles and 2 swords. Lovely. Layla Erickson, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for your presence. And Issy, I appreciate you. Into the Mystics. Yep, we did Scorpio second. And so that will be back on the beginning of the video. If anybody has joined lately, go back to the beginning of the video. If anybody wants to put timestamps on, I haven't got the time right now. I'm super busy. I'm flying and leaving this country in 48 hours. But if you've got the opportunity to put timestamps for each of the signs all together, that's so great of you for doing that. You are appreciated. Whoever did choose to that, whoever chose to do it, you're appreciated. I'm getting tongue-tied. I've got the transits of Mercury and my ruling planet Venus currently, and Mars, all in my 12th house, so I'm allowed to get tongue-tied for the moment. Right, lastly, we got Virgo. Yeah, Virgo. This is where Venus currently is. This is where Mercury is as well for the next couple of weeks, and where Mars is, and, well, the Sun will be as well in the not-too-distant future from now, the day after the full moon. And so, Virgo, this is the transit of Venus through your second house. Oh, yes, it's about your perception of your value. Do you know and think and perceive and feel that you are worthy, Virgo? Whoa, Virgo, you are worthy. You are assuring of your worthiness due to your persistent commitment and devotion to your labors of love for yourself and those people that you're sharing your energy with in your day-to-day experiences, rituals and routines. You're the medicine, Virgo. It is actually that you're always getting clear, you're always acting and having this schedule that allows you to manifest. It's actually this consistency that allows you to be so practical, and that is your value. You are medicine. You are able to provide a wealth of talents, and it's your consistent devotion to your hobbies and your crafts and your day-to-day rituals and routines that harvest and yield the manifestation of your value. And so Venus transit through your second house rules Taurus, which is your ninth house. This is a massive recognition of what innovation makes you so worthy, Virgo. And so this is very powerful. Obviously, innovation is going to be key once we get into the Virgo lunar cycle with the Virgo new moon trine in Uranus retrograde in your ninth house. So you're really having to adapt your belief systems and include the opportunity to buy into yourself as credible, as sensational, as recognizable for being absolutely brilliant. So if you can perceive yourself that way, then others are going to also. Very nice for you guys. Mercury through your first house. Everything's rolling through out of Leo. This lunar cycle clearing out the karma of the 12th. Virgo, it's a great time for renewal for you. And so you can see yourself through new eyes. Interesting, though. Cards we got. I don't know what's bottom of the pack. We're going to leave it. We're going to keep it curious. We're going to leave it to simmer. What's going to be bottom of the pack? I've got 3 other cards come out for you. Oh, the details, the ramifications. Oh, we're just hanging on a thread. What's it going to be? This is the last of all the 12 horoscopes. And Virgo, this is very powerful for you. And so we got the Leo lunar cycle that we're within. This is about your creativity. Oh, yes. Okay, that started out in your 12th house. This is about your creativity, your ability to recreate your belief systems, your sense of identification, your sense of self-worth due to your productivity. 5 pentacles and the perception of the reflection of who you're collaborating with and how you feel perceived by them. We got 8 swords. So only way sometimes we can't change someone's perception. All we can do is show up and be that the hermit, right? Virgo. All we can do is shine our love from the inside out. That's what stars do, right? And so the Hanged Man is suggesting that, yeah, of course, you'll yield results. Surrender. You know you're good enough. Surrender to the illumination because you are worthy to this. You are a sound vibrational being beyond the lights of illusion. The truth is in the pudding. And so be with you. You are worthy. Recognize you. You are the master of showing rather than dictating. The truth is revealed due to your consistency. Page of Swords. Communicate to yourself and anchor a vibrational message of love because you are worthy. Venus transit of your second house. Recognize that you're talented, and that is your fortune. Your fortune is your talent, and your talent is your persistent ability to go beyond the mess and perfect clarity, to have a regime that's so detailed that it keeps you structured and organized to the degree that you harvest results and create traction within your experience. 5 pentacles, 8 swords, and a partridge hanging from a pear tree, shaped as the Hanged Man. No, just surrender to the ability to retell your story. This is the Page of Swords. This is about Mercury on the page, and Mercury is in your first house. So recognize your value through your creative attributes in your day-to-day experiences, and you can rewrite the script as you observe yourself from another angle and recognize yourself as worthy. Oh, Virgo, come along, sing with me, because you are good enough. We are here to establish ourselves as recognizing that there are alternative things. We don't have to go into things that make us feel contorted, squeezed, packed into a box. That's the only way. It's a dead end, but you've got to go that way. We're recognizing that we can choose ourselves, honor ourselves, do what we love, and make a living from being that thing that we love to do. You are able to do that. And it's about our perception that firstly qualifies ourselves. We have to be daring and go and maybe move into a direction that we've never gone before. But that's what gives us the opportunity to change our belief systems. I'll tell you this one thing. One example for me, as a Libra, ruled by Venus, right? It was actually 9 months ago that I left the UK and went to Mexico on my own. And I'd never gone to a country without any arrangements to meet anybody before, like planned. And I just went there. And I had a leap of faith. I went there with £300 saved. That was enough for about a week of hotels and food. And I got there. And since then, I've been teaching astrology workshops at fantastic locations on the beach all over Mexico. And met fantastic, wonderful, brilliant people doing astrology consultations, and I managed to live there for 9 months. I found my place in community, teaching astrology workshops at a yoga gym where they gave me a free yoga pass every month. I changed my diet, and that really changed my perception. But I went out on a limb. It was maybe the thing that I'd be back before the end of the year, but I kept going. I persisted. I made it 3 seasons round the clock, and I chose to come back due to the fortune and the nest that I'd made. I changed my belief systems, I altered the script, and I'm going back. And so there you go. This is just an example of how we are able to change our limiting belief systems. Because before that, I had not been able to live and sustain myself off my craft, off my love. But now I've proven I can in an international land, and I can do what I love, interviewing fantastic astrologers, working with the best astrologers, and working with you, my clients. My favorite thing to do, holding space and reflecting the wisdom that astrology bestows. So thank you for choosing you. Thank you for going after your creative projects. Thank you for activating yourself and actualizing yourself, because you are worthy of doing no less than loving what you do. And we don't have to feed in anything. We do not have to feed into any relationship with anybody or anything, which proves that it feels that it isn't for us. So thank you for being you. Venus shall make ingress into Libra on the 16th of August. If you would like me to hold space for you in astrological consultation, well, thank you for choosing yourself to make that investment. I'm available for you. All the information for us to arrange a consultation is in the description box below. Thank you for your moments. Julissa and Spirit Work and Roxanne, everybody who's watched, thanks for being present. You are the gift. I'm grateful for you. Even if you watch this in a recording, you're equally appreciated. Cheerio for now. Have a fantastic selection of moments. I'll catch you on the flip side.